NYTS transformed me from essentially a carpenter to a minister. It's so much more than just a master's degree. A master's degree teaches you facts and academia. NYTS made me a minister.
Transformative. Inclusive. Accessible. New York Theological Seminary has embraced these values for 107 years, as its students and graduates have fanned out into the world and into New York City, which has long served as its campus. From the earliest days of Bible Teachers Training College in Montclair, New Jersey, to the building on 49th Street, to Marble Collegiate Church on Fifth Avenue, to our present home at 475 Riverside Drive, New York Theological Seminary continues to transform the lives of students who in turn have been instrumental in transforming their communities and the larger world.
I became a far different person as a president of a college because of my journey through NYTS. Had I not gone to NYTS, I don't know if I know I wouldn't be where I am mentally, intellectually.
I came to NYTS in 1954. The city really was the classroom, so it was no ivory tower. The most significant thing about the seminary for me was it was a total immersion in the English Bible. The Bible became, for me, not just something to know about, it became something I was living. I became a pastor after that, and then finally that got transmuted into the translation I did of the Bible called The Message. When I was doing the translation, I often thought about my years at the seminary. The thoroughness with which it got into my muscles and bones and nerve endings shaped the way I lived vocationally ever after.
Folks can see and witness the difference that NYTS has made in my life. I grew up in the South Bronx in a housing project as a Latina in the Catholic tradition. And I had never really made the connections between my upbringing and all of the professions that I've been called to. I had never even perceived, quite frankly, those things that I had done in the past as part of my call. Coming to NYTS gave me an opportunity to be still, to clearly hear the voice of God, and to be led by the Spirit in a way that merged everything that I had been academically and professionally with who I am authentically.
The elements that have ignited students in the crucible of NYTS have been the seminary's rigorous degree and certificate programs, dedicated faculty.
Jesus was crucified, which as we know was a political execution.
Practical curriculum, accessible class times and locations, affordable tuition, financial assistance.
Take this to the desk.
There are a number of people who just started. Give them a welcome, give them a hug.
And most of all, a deeply caring, multicultural, and ecumenical Christian community.
NYTS has no ethnic majority, that in fact it is thoroughly pluralistic in its composition, both in terms of faculty and also in terms of student body.
They actually require the students to go out into a religious setting different from theirs. I myself, I went to a mosque and just observed and really learned to appreciate how Muslims serve.
It doesn't matter that I'm from the United Church of Christ and my classmate on one side is Baptist and my classmate on the other side is Episcopal. The three of us couldn't probably be more different in terms of our church denominations. And yet, being at NYTS, we're all sharing in the same experience. We're all building exactly the same foundation.
Part of the transformational and accessible nature of NYTS has been the seminary's ability to think outside the box, move quickly, and to work in new and creative ways.
The reason that that seminary exists is because it's been able to adapt, change, and respond to the changing conditions of our culture, the changing conditions of the church.
NYTS both responds to and influences the church through innovative curriculum, such as the Ecologies of Learning project.
Ecologies of Learning is a very important part of NYTS. We actually take the information from the students, the churches that they visit, and we use that as part of our data. And we revisit that church and we start speaking with the ministers and the people and create focus groups and then events in that area. It's what I call the action part of NYTS.
Another one of our unique graduate degree programs, of which we are extremely proud, is the Masters of Professional Studies that is designed for the inmates at Sing Sing Prison.
The idea of the program is to have the men look at every aspect of their life as ministry.
We'll be looking at this book by Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
By working with the men, we try to change the system from within by giving them an opportunity to receive a quality education, second to none. When the men finish the program, they're sent to various prisons throughout the state to work with teachers, counselors, to work with mental health.
The Korean Ministries program prepares the leadership of the churches in South Korea and also the Korean churches in the New York metropolitan area.
In New York City, there's more than 300 churches, and the Koreans are one of the new population come to the United States, and they need not only the economic resources, but social and spiritual support to overcome their hardships. A lot of pastors actually studied at the NYTS, and the Korean church is doing a lot of mission in this city, and we need good leadership.
That's why I find NYTS so unique. They're not just about teaching our students, but providing resources that provide the practice part.
This is why the work of the seminary is so urgent. Back in the early days of the Biblical Seminary, President Wilbert Webster White didn't believe in saving for the future. For him, it was a theological issue. God would provide.
We've always been a place that exercises good stewardship of our resources. What we have found is that the cost of theological education is expanding enormously. And as we do so, we can't expect students to keep up with it. We know we've got a transformative mission. We know we've been called to do something that's really transforming in the world. But in order to ensure this goes on for another generation, we need to provide a better financial base for it.
Right now, NYTS is embarking on its first comprehensive campaign in the history of the seminary to ensure that this unique seminary, New York Theological Seminary, is around for years to come. We need your support.
I have NYTS in my will. You know, none of us are going to live forever. I give to NYTS because I love NYTS. I give to NYTS because my mother attended NYTS. And it would just mean a lot to me to know that the ministry that my mother thought valuable will be able to continue.
As Christians, we always talk about tithing, but we thought it was important to tithe our capital as well as our income. So we looked at the assets we had and we decided to invest some of those assets in New York Theological Seminary. It's a really neat thing because you give money to the seminary, but as long as you live, you get some interest on that money. And at my demise, all that money then that we invested is a nice big gift to the seminary. That's planned giving. For me, it feels very good to give to the seminary. And furthermore, because I had such a good experience at that seminary, I want other people to have the privilege of that kind of a seminary education as well.
Everybody at NYTS gives. I mean, we give like it's our church. and still I have to give at the church. But it's that important.
Your giving will support the seminary in 3 ways. First, give gifts to the annual fund will support the seminary's operations. Second, donations to special projects and initiatives will help keep NYTS innovative. And finally, gifts to the endowment will support professorships and scholarships for students, which will secure the seminary's future.
Students come, they're not just there for their education. They're really there exploring what it means to be called by God to do ministry. And so there's a very strong personal investment.
Giving to New York Seminary is a way to make a real difference in the lives of people, but in the life of New York City.
Your giving to the seminary will help you to play a part in changing not only the area around you, but also in working to change the world.
I think it's personally going to be amazing when we get to heaven and somebody's going to come up and say, you know what, remember that check you wrote? Remember that gift you gave? Well, that helped someone else, and the Holy Spirit transformed them through NYTS. And I'm here because of that person and because of you making that all possible.
Give today and make a difference at New York Theological Seminary.
New York Theological Seminary is the best pony running. We're the long shot. People don't expect us to win, and we keep coming out of the hole running 100 miles an hour, and we run with the best of them.